Hey guys, welcome back into the Starcastic Remarks studios. My name is Ryan Chambers, and we are Starcastic Remarks, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook and our newest sponsor, Raycon. Please go and use the promo code THPN next time you go and use their stuff for a special little offer from them, and it also lets them know that we're the ones that sent you. So please go and do that, and I would really appreciate that. But without further ado, James, Chris, hey guys, how's it going? I'll be totally honest. I am a little low on the energy level tonight, so I apologize, but I am absolutely exhausted. But how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm great. And is the same promo code for both sites?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, how convenient. Wow. So
we
easy to
are
remember.
we're hitting like the big leagues, guys.
We're on top of things.
Yeah, like we're getting the $8 million contract now. We're moving our way up in the world. You
That's
hear
a
that,
little
Tom
early
Ghilardi?
for that transition.
We're not taking no little bridge contract.
No bridge contracts here. Us and Raycon are in it for life. This is a lifetime deal between us and Raycon.
What's been going on in y'all's lives lately? I guess we should first say what we all three did this past weekend. But our mother, our mommy dearest, had her birthday on Saturday, so she turned the big 50. So happy birthday to our mother. Anything y'all want to say about that with our mother?
Good job, Mom. Continues to age. She's been doing it for 50 years now. It's impressive.
Ages like fine wine, right?
Yep.
Chris
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Go for
Yes, Ryan.
Well, we enjoyed a very good weekend, and it was really nice to get everybody together because just about everybody is out of the house now, except for the youngest two. So everybody's kind of out during their. Well, James is technically out of the house. Like he's not in school anymore. He's not in school anymore. He has like a big boy job. So we're all working big boy jobs and doing stuff like that. It was nice to see everybody and get everybody together. And it's weird because we're not going to be able to do that much a ton over the course of our lifetime just because everyone's getting older. So. But nonetheless, it was great to spend some family time together, and I was glad to get to see you guys in person. So, but anyways, we have some star stuff to get to tonight. It's getting real, guys. I mean, it's here. It's September. I mean, this is when training camp happens. We're gonna start seeing preseason games here in the 20-ish range. I forget when the first actual preseason game is. It's like the 26th or whatever, but
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's coming close, guys. Is that excitement starting to ramp up for y'all, or are you not quite feeling it yet?
It's starting. I always feel like as soon as football season starts, I'm just inkling. It's almost there. We're almost to hockey. That's what football season is for.
To tell you that hockey season is coming.
Because that's what everybody does in the Dallas area, right?
Football
season starts and they're like, "Oh, okay, hockey season's on the way." That's exactly what everybody thinks.
That's what they don't. They should this year.
They
Dallas
should
fans.
be.
You should be doing that this year, Dallas fans. Unfortunately.
Well, quick side note: how do you think the Cowboys are going to do this year? I'm not too.
Not good. Not good.
I'm not
all they did this offseason was lose their best wide receiver. That's not normally a recipe for success. Mm-hmm. But, we still got a mediocre quarterback. We still got a mediocre running back. And we have a worse line now, too. So,
yeah, the line doesn't look much better.
All those things add up to a successful season.
Are we so bad that it's gonna be like we're gonna go like 4-12, or do you think we're gonna be perfectly mediocre, like 8-8?
What we always do. We're gonna go 8-8. Well, there's more than 16 games now. We're gonna go.
Oh yeah, there's 17. I forgot there's 18.
9-8 or 8-9.
Yeah, something like that. And somehow win the division because the NFC East really sucks.
Might win the division. The Eagles are pretty good now. The Eagles are decent. We'll see.
That's sad. It's just sad. But anyways, let's talk about some Stars hockey, though. There's some things we got to talk about because literally we finished the podcast Wednesday night last week, and the following morning, Mr. Jake Ottinger is officially back as a Dallas Stars netminder. He signs for 3 years at $4 million per season. What did you think about the contract? Are you surprised? Is this exactly what you thought? What are y'all's thoughts on this contract?
Yeah, I think this was about what you'd expect. You know, he's one of the better goaltenders. We saw he was ranked on some NHL.com poll in the top 10 goaltenders in the league. So $4 million is not bad. 3 years is a little short, but it also, when you look at the timing of other contracts that are ending around the same time, it frees up a bunch of money, so you can really decide what you want to do at that point. So it's a really good signing, all things said. It's not a steal by any means, but it's not also a big loss by the Stars cap wise.
Yeah. I mean, this is about what we were kind of thinking he was going to sign for. We were thinking closer to the 3 million, I think, but it's right in that range. I mean, pretty much what we said he was about going to sign for a little bit more, not much more though.
Yeah, and this was exactly what we kind of expected. We said, between 3 and 4, something like that. I think I actually said 3.5. And it was pretty obvious that he wanted an 8-year deal. He wanted a long-term deal, but given the Stars cap hit and everything, it just wasn't going to happen. There's no way that he would have gotten a big chunk of change with the way that the cap is. And with that signing, and we'll talk about Robo here in a second, but it puts the Stars kind of real up against the cap there, about $6.3 million without finagling any of the cap, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But I think it was kind of a give from both camps, if that makes any sense. Otter really wanted the term. He didn't get the term. He got the 3 years. But the Stars wanted it to be about 3.5, and they kind of caved in at 4. So I think they kind of gave up a little bit on both sides. So I think this is a perfect contract. This takes him to the age of 26. So he will still be a restricted free agent at the end of this contract, which is kind of nice as well.
That's big.
So it does take him to that point. So it allows the Stars to have a little bit more control for one more of his contract, whatever that contract may be. And if you're looking at it from Ottinger's standpoint, that's a year where you can really bank in. So if your stats continue going the way that his stats have been going, it allows him to really take advantage of it, and that cap is going to shoot up by that point. So we're looking like 90 million plus. So he could be an 8, 9, maybe even $10 million goaltender by the end of this contract, and if he re-ups with the Stars.
And the players that the Stars would be losing at the point that his contract expires, it would free up that space for him too. The Ben contract's running out, the second contract's running out. I think Suter's contract even runs out at that point. So you got a lot of money in the bank that he can grab a hold of if he, like you said, keeps trending in the right direction.
So let's go ahead and talk about the flip side of the coin. We're talking about Ottinger. He's back. We don't have to worry about having Dobby and Wedgwood. Yep. 1 down, 1 to go. We took care of the goaltending tandem. Ottinger's number 1, Wedgwood's number 2 going into the season. This kind of makes things very complicated if you're the Stars with signing Robertson, and it makes it even more complicated because of the contract that was signed today. And obviously we're talking about Tim Stützle of the Ottawa Senators signing a contract today, which I'm not really surprised about it, but I am a little bit surprised about it.
I'm shocked.
I'm not shocked, but at the same time, it's got a lot of risk to it. Do one of y'all have the details of that? I just know that I think it's 8 years at $8.36 million. I think that's about.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but it's over $8 million a year, and it's 8 years.
Yes, so. And here's how this affects Robertson. And if you're Robertson's camp and you're looking at that contract, your stats are better than Stützle's, and Stützle's by a significant margin. I mean, Stützle, I think he had like a 20-goal season this past year. Mm-hmm. And he's seen as having more upside, more of a possibility of being a superstar in the NHL than Robertson is. But Stützle has not shown that yet, and Robertson has. So that's kind of scary if you're the Dallas Stars, because you're looking at that contract and you're like, oh, well, if Tim Stützle, sorry, I'm fixing to sneeze. Excuse me.
Wow,
Bless you.
that was impressive that you could even talk about that. Honestly,
Oh, I almost didn't.
props.
But you're looking at Tim Stützle's contract and you're like, oh, crap. Because,
That was my exact thought as soon as I saw it.
I mean, what are we looking at? Because honestly, before Stützle's contract came out and, it showed that he was making $8 million for the next 8 years, we could possibly see the Stars having Robertson take like a $7 or $7.5 million deal. And they can finagle the cap a little bit. We'll talk about that here in a second. But how does this affect Robertson with the signing of Tim Stützle today?
I mean, it obviously gives him more power. I mean, you can't argue that he's okay. You can kind of argue that Stützle is more valuable because of, like you said, the upside that he has. I think he's a bigger body. He has more potential to be really good, like you said. But right now, Robertson's the better hockey player, like without a doubt. He offensively, he's 20 points better. He's a way better goal scorer, and he still has defensive upside as well. So it's not good because the Stars have about 6.5 in the bank right now to pay him, and that's not going to be enough.
James, what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like the Stützle contract, I don't know how their fans feel about the contract, but I don't know that it's a good contract for the team. Like, it seems like he can just do basically what Denis Gurianov did after having his 60-point season and just stay under 60 points for another 3 years. And they're stuck with him at an $8 million cap hit. Like,
yeah. And it can be one of those contracts you're like, that guy gets paid how much to be a third line center?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what they see in him that makes them want to pay him that much more. But if I'm in talks with Robertson, I can kind of be like, that dude did get paid a lot, but I think he's probably overpaid, right? So
that's not what I saw from Ottawa fans. The Ottawa fans were excited to have him locked down. Like, they thought
Right.
he was the bee's knees, the cat's meow.
And here's the risk to the contract. It may look like he's getting overpaid right now, but the cap is going to go up. So, and if he continues his progression like he has, then it's going to look like a steal in like 3 or 4 years, right? I mean, this goes back to the whole conversation we had about Ghilardi's interview on the Cam and Strick podcast, where he's like, instead of paying players, when they become unrestricted free agents, like 27, 28, 29, 30, that range, now people are starting to say, okay, we need to start paying these young guys a lot more money at the beginning, right after their entry level deal. So that, because that's when they're going to be producing a majority of their points, when they're like 22 to 27. And that's pretty obvious when you look at, prime example, Jamie Benn. His points were much, much higher that period of his life than now. So we're basically paying him now for what he did back then. And what Ottawa is saying here is we're betting that he's going to be worth at least that or more, in 3 or 4 years. That's what this contract is saying.
That's quite the gamble, though.
It's a gamble. It's a very big gamble.
If that was my team, I don't know that I'd be happy about the contract. I mean, I know every team's excited about their younger players who are playing good. They're playing decent, but I don't know that I'm going to want to pay one of those players over $8 million.
Let me ask you this. Would you be willing to pay Robertson over $8 million?
He scored 40 goals. There's a
40
big
goals.
difference. He scored double Stützle's goals.
He's 3 years older, and he's proven it 2 seasons in a row.
Okay, so let's look at it without this then, okay? We don't know that he's going to score 40 goals let's just say that that Robertson became a restricted free agent not this year but the year before. So when he was a Calder Trophy candidate, right? Okay, let's just put it that way. At that point, would you give him $8 million?
No.
Probably not.
Okay. So that's the risk that you're going with when you assume that that Stützle is going to be a 30 goal scorer next season, maybe
But even at
70,
that,
80 points.
I mean, Robertson's season last year is still better than Stützle's season this year. He had more points per game than Stützle did. It's like I just don't know that paying that much is going to be worth it. It's if it works out, they're going to look like geniuses, but it's just I don't think that's a gamble worth taking.
Either way, it doesn't really matter if we're saying that's a gamble worth taking. This is what the market has set now. So for cap issues, that is what he's worth, whether we like it or not. So that's what the market says he's worth. We have to see what Neil's going to do now.
Also, Robertson is the bigger forward. He weighs 10 more pounds and is 3 inches taller.
Really? That surprises me. I didn't realize that Stützle was that small.
He's 6 foot.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, let me ask about this then. Let's get into a little bit of the cap issues when it surrounds the Dallas Stars here, because now that we know the number that Otter signed for, he signed for $4 million, and that's per year for the next 3 seasons. When you look at the cap and you look at Cap Friendly right now, like literally right now, it's about $6.3 million. All right. There's no way he's signing for $6 million.
No.
I'm sorry, but I feel like we can.
It would
all
be a
agree with that.
miracle.
Yes, it would be a miracle, and it would basically have to be like a 1 year $6 million, with the understanding that we're going to give him like $9 million next season. Which again, I don't. You don't take a promise from a team that, oh well, we'll pay you $6 million now, but next season we'll pay you $9 million. So I don't know, that's not going to happen. But the only thing that we can look at with the cap is look at a couple of players that may get moved out or may get buried in the minors where we can get some cap relief. Now, the only thing we can do right this second is we could put Dobby down in the minors, which he's going to be in the minors anyway, and we would get about like $1.2 million in cap relief. That could go towards signing Robertson. So that would give us about $7.4 million to work with, around there. But that's only if you just bury him in the minors. And if we have some sort of goaltending issue where Otter gets hurt, or Wedgwood gets hurt or something like that, then we're in real big trouble, because then we have to bring up some other goaltender in emergency or whatever. Is $7.4 million enough to get it done? Because
it could be.
It could,
Maybe.
right? So is it a yes or a no though for you? Because that's kind of a hard. That's like right there where you think maybe Robertson would take it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
Say no. I agree. I 100% agree.
I think that since we signed Markstrom, I've been thinking like we're gonna have to move someone else. Someone has to be on the way out so that we can get that cap space. Like there's just with having Ben and Sagan make as much money as they do, there's no chance that we're gonna be able to sign him for $7 million, I think.
Yeah, I feel like a move has to be made. I don't think we're going to be able to figure this out just with what we got now. And it's really it at the end of this offseason, it's feeling like a big failure from the Stars, because they were in talks about making a big move throughout the offseason and they weren't able to do it. They vastly underestimated how valuable Robertson and Otter were. And they were wrong about the market completely. So it's starting to look like a failure of an offseason. But if they can get him signed and not drop anybody else, that might be a good thing. Or if they can find a way to move Dobby completely and get his contract off the books, that'd be a win too. But yeah, it underwhelming performance offseason wise overall.
So is he the only person that you would consider moving to clear cap space?
I would also do
'Cause
Foxa, obviously.
that's another name that's been out there. But again, he's got I think he has a modified no trade
It's a
list.
modified no trade. It's like 5
So
teams
yeah,
that
the
he
player
can't get
submits
traded
a
to.
5-team no trade list. So how this works is he has 5 teams that he would not want to be traded to, and no matter what happens, we cannot trade him to one of those 5 teams. And more than likely, those are the teams that are probably they're going to be sucky, for lack of a better term. Sorry, and those teams are going to be the ones that have the cap space. So I just don't see that happening. The only other thing you could do is you could literally go with the bare minimum and go with 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and just go with that. And you would probably have enough to sign Robertson for $8 million. But that gives you zero wiggle room to have an extra body in the roster. Is that something that you would consider doing in order to get Robo signed? Or I personally don't think that's a good idea.
Maybe. I don't know. I just want to get him signed. I mean, whatever he has to do it, it's worth it. If that's what it comes down to, and he has to do bare minimum on the roster, fine, do it. Just get him signed.
We're at a point where he needs to be playing at the beginning of the season, because if we get behind at the beginning of the season, we're not a team that's going to just blow up and win every single game and be able to come back into the playoff spots. Like, we have to be in the hunt the whole time, or else we are going to miss it.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. We have to have a good start in order for the Stars to be in the playoffs. You have to be in the top 8 by December, I think, in order to be and have a chance to get into the playoffs even. Other question that I've seen floating kind of around social media a little bit is this a problem of Jim Nill, or is this Tom Glardy doing some of this stuff, pulling strings behind the scenes? Because we would have said, like, maybe 2 weeks ago that, oh, this is just Jim Nill not taking care of business here and yada 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 yada. But it looks like Tom Glardy has kind of been around behind the scenes a little more than we thought, in having his hands on the team a little bit more. Is this just Tom Glardy not wanting to pay Robertson what everyone thinks he's worth and what he thinks he's worth?
No, that's overblown. Glardy has shown that he will open his pocketbook. I mean, he's willing to keep a full cap all the time. He's not going to get to the cap floor and just stay there to save money and try and build up a team. He'll spend money. He's proven that, if nothing else. So I think he's just, since he's in hockey, like you said, with his junior team, I think he just likes hearing about it. And he likes being in the know and everything and talking to Jim Nill about it. I don't think he's super involved the way the podcast made it seem to be. The way the podcast sounded, it was like, oh yeah, he's making all the decisions. I think he's just talking about what he heard from Nill. That's just a hunch. I have no reason to believe that's true, but that's the way I think, because he's been a great owner up until the podcast. Really, I've had no complaints. So
I really think we probably paid Marchment more than we wanted to, because he was sought after on I can't think of, I just lost
in the market.
Yeah, on the market. We probably paid more because we really wanted that extra forward, and Nill was probably thinking, yeah, that I could probably get away with this, and now it's very much obvious that he cannot get away with it at all.
And yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that. Y'all kind of wrapped it all nice and tight, like in a real nice burrito. So
nail on the head.
I was trying to find a different analogy. I use that a lot, but also I'm tired, so my brain's not really working all that well. But I do want to pull this up, because this is actually one thing I was thinking, and Ardell was making a good point here. I find it funny everyone hates on Gallardi. Dude is a brilliant businessman. Might learn something from him. I mean, and you can be upset with a guy who's a billionaire and has his fingers all over the team and stuff like that and wants to be around the team a lot. But, if we didn't have him, there wouldn't be a lot of stability in the Dallas market. I mean, remember those, what we called the dark ages when the Stars were just flat out terrible and, we were not spending money. We were just a team that was just making money and not trying to get into the playoffs. We were just existing. That sucked. I remember those years very well, unfortunately. But if it wasn't for Tom Gallardi, then we wouldn't have a good Stars team like we have. So, but anything else we need to add to that, you guys, when it comes to that whole conversation with Robo?
Nope. Sign him at all costs.
Here's my new prediction. 2 years, $8 million. That's kind of what I think will happen. Maybe 8.5. I think it's gonna get to that point, and we're gonna see somebody get moved out. Who that is, I don't know yet, but hopefully it's Dobby. Just again, not because I hate him, but that's just gotta be what it is.
Because he's not on the team.
Yep.
What a bad contract looking back on it. We knew that wasn't going to be a good contract.
No, we all knew it.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Dallas Stars are going to appear 13 times on the NHL national broadcast schedule. So this was just released today as well. They're going to play 5 times on TNT, 3 times on ABC, twice on ESPN, and 3 times exclusively on ESPN Plus / Hulu. So some of those games that we're looking at, Dallas and Nashville on the 13th of October, Toronto versus Dallas, December 6th, just to name a few. Tampa Bay at the Stars on February 11th. So this has been, kind of new for the Stars. Like this goes back to the years when NBC was the national broadcast had the national broadcast schedule, and we'd have like 1, maybe 2 games that the Dallas Stars were in at a national level. So it's kind of interesting that there's 13 games now that the Stars are in, and maybe that's because there's just more broadcasts, national broadcast teams. You got ESPN, you got ESPN Plus, TNT. But what do y'all think of this? Is this indicative of the Stars getting better, being a more popular team, or do you think it's just because there's more national broadcast teams?
I think we're definitely a more popular team, and I think that's due to a rise of like the central core fans that are diehards now. I mean, you look on Twitter, there's a large group of fans that are talking about nothing but Dallas Stars hockey all the time. And that's so cool to have a big fan base like that. And I think that people see that and they gravitate towards it as a group that's really enthusiastic. And I think that Stars fans have grown over the past few years. And I think that's due to fans like us, not to pat ourselves on the back, and fans like you who are listening to a podcast in September about hockey. Go watch football.
Go watch football. We're gonna watch football for like 2 weeks or maybe a month until the season starts. But yeah, James, what do you think?
No real opinion on it, honestly. A lot
James
of people
agrees
don't.
with me.
A lot of people don't like the national broadcasts sometimes, just because it's the different play-by-play people, and that's part of the Stars not being in national broadcasts previously. We're kind of spoiled because we always have our own broadcasters always doing play-by-play. So, and we really do have we have some great characters on our broadcast. So it's really fun for us just doing our local broadcast, but it's also on when you get those games on the national level, it's trying to grow the game as a whole, and they're trying to grow it in the South more too. Like it's really more of what the game needs. It needs to get out there more. So
those games feel more important to me. I don't know about y'all, but whenever I'm turning it on TNT or ESPN, I'm like, ooh, this is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question. I'll ask it again. Which one's better, TNT or ESPN?
TNT.
TNT.
I love TNT's broadcast, man. It's so much more fun than listening to ESPN.
It's really fun. They were really their basketball broadcast. Obviously, everybody loves that, and they've done a pretty good. Last year's a good start of getting on that track. If they can keep that rolling, that'll be fun. And having Wayne Gretzky on there and Biz Nasty just talking to Wayne Gretzky, that's crazy. What is
two
going on?
polar opposites, right?
That is that's insane. But it was awesome. Keep that up.
Yeah, it's just like having Shaq and Charles Barkley. Just
Exactly.
both of those guys on the TNT broadcast in the NBA is just fantastic. Now I will say this about ESPN. ESPN they do have some people that I don't like and I don't enjoy, but listening to the Stanley Cup final, I forget who was the broadcast team for that entire Stanley Cup final, but I really enjoyed listening to those guys. My personal opinion, I really liked them. They're much better than most of the other broadcast teams, obviously because it's the Stanley Cup final, but still, I thought they did a fantastic job in the Stanley Cup final. ESPN did.
They have some really, really good commentators, but then they also have some really awful ones, like we talked about. Most of them are on ESPN Plus. But I also just think that their pregame and their intermission reports are just uninspired, bad. Pretty much like NBC's. NBC's was terrible. It was not worth listening to. The only reason you would have that on is so that you can mute it and look at Patrick Sharp's beautiful face.
Now, here's the other thing that I do appreciate about ESPN and TNT both. They both do a lot better job than NBC in this particular thing, is they actually get our players' names right. Like, I looking back this past season, I don't remember one instance where they mispronounced one of our players' last names. And
all the time on NBC.
Like consistently, like once every 2 national games that the Stars would be in or whatever.
The dreaded Heiskanen. It's literally like our star player and they can't get his name right.
I remember ESPN. I remember NBC one time calling it Huskinen. I heard Huskinen. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's like, how hard is it to go through the list of players like 10 minutes before the broadcast starts and just be like, is this how you say it? Oh, it is? Good. Is this how you say it? Oh, it isn't? Okay, let me look it up, play it. Oh, that's how you say it. Okay, got it. Like, it can't be that hard to just look at the names once. You shouldn't need more than that, honestly.
Yeah, and it's never been Heiskanen. It's Heiskanen. That every place that I've heard it, that's how Josh says it. So if Josh Bogorod, the play-by-play voice of the Dallas Stars, who knows the players probably better than anybody and probably talks to the players on a regular basis, says Heiskanen, then it's Heiskanen. Don't try to be different. Call the last name what it is, whether it's the correct pronunciation in that player's home country or not. Okay, they probably run this stuff by the players, right? You would think, right? Calling it saying Heiskanen rather than Heiskanen or whatever.
I mean, the local broadcasts probably do, but I wouldn't. The national definitely doesn't.
Well, either ways, what I thought was really interesting was that the last 2 games the Stars have is going to be against the St. Louis Blues. It's a back-to-back, so it's a home and home. So it's in St. Louis and then it's in Dallas, and they're both national games. That's fun. That's fun. Really fun.
Like whoever created the beginning and end of our season is a genius, because they did a back-to-back with Nashville in home openers, and then they did a back-to-back with Blues to end it out. Like those are awesome.
That's fun.
Do y'all see both of those teams doing really well this year, Nashville and St. Louis?
They're both good. They both should be in the Nashville might not. I'm not sold. I think that they're on the downward trek and they're just trying to hang on. But I think they should both be at least on the bubble, if not in. I think St. Louis obviously is more likely to be in. But
I think Nashville was sort of kind of in the same hemisphere as the Stars. They're a good team that
with a lot of questions.
Yes, with a lot of questions. Yep. And I mean they re-signed Forsberg. I think that's their biggest thing is they re-signed their top goal scorer when looked like he was probably going to leave. So it's going to be exciting to watch those teams on the national broadcast. We'll see how the Stars do against them. Next thing we need to talk about Stars-wise is the Dallas Stars released their Traverse City lineup roster, and it showcases the big three for the Stars. And, when we're talking about the big three, we're talking about the prospects, not the new big three or the old big three, but the big three prospects. That's
we gotta
confusing.
stop calling people the big
We
three.
gotta start calling it. We just start. I don't know. We gotta start calling them the actual
the Avengers line.
The Avengers line. I'm still not. I whatever. We're not talking about that right
That's
now.
what he says most of the time on the broadcast. So
the Avengers line. Okay, whatever.
They
But
did save a lot of games, to be fair.
that's true. Quite a few. But looking at the Traverse City lineup, I've got it here on my on the podcast Twitter feed here. Where'd it go? It features the players you would expect. Riley Damiani is there, so this is probably his last year in this particular format. And then you've got obviously the big three, like I said, Wyatt Johnston, you've got Logan Stakeoven, and you've also got Mr. Maverick Bork, who has kind of had a rough season when it comes to injuries. Now on the defensive front, you've got some big names still, bigger names for Stars prospects. You've got Grushnikov, who is over in the United States right now, so that's pretty good. And that's a fun name to say too, Grushnikov. And then the other name that I'm really interested to see how he does is Christian Kyrou. Kyrou was a second round pick from this past season. He's the brother of St. Louis Blues forward Jordan Kyrou. I think it's Jordan, right? And he had a really big outbreak season this year, and I'm really curious to see how he does. He's not planned to make any kind of AHL roster or anything like that, Christian Kyrou, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this team. And what's different about this team compared to other Dallas Stars teams is that this team is like very heavy on the offense, like very, very heavy on the offense, it appears. So would you, if you had the chance to watch the Traverse City tournament, would you all be watching it?
Yeah, I think there's nowhere to watch it though. I think it was streaming on the Red Wings website that one year, but I haven't heard anything about it being watchable. Any update on that, Ryan? Can we watch it?
I'll have to look it up later. I have no idea. I mean, last year,
someone tell us if we can watch it.
Yep.
Send us a link.
Yep. And I think since it's not a like NHL, funded thing, it's just a couple of teams getting together and seeing how their prospects do against each other. I know James and I last year or the year before, I forget when it was, James, we kind of did a live stream where we watched the game and, we just kind of talked about the prospects as we went through, and it was just one of the games. We were missing hockey and stuff like that. But, I would love to see a line of Stankoven, Bork, and Johnston just to see.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
Just go nuclear here. Just go nuclear with your prospects. Make that your first line and just see how they do. Because
imagine
that would
all
be so
three
much
of
fun.
them make our roster and they're just our third line. That would be so cool.
Dude, they would probably be our second line, honestly. And then
Sagan
and Ben get pushed down to the third line. But
let's do it.
I'm
all in. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Dude, y'all are saying some things right now.
Let's do it. Whatever.
like calm down a little bit. Okay.
Well, some other things when you look at this roster, it's kind of exciting to look at. You've got Connor Roulette, who's kind of slowly been making his progression and doing pretty well. So I'm going to be curious to see how he does. Logan Morrison is also really interesting too. I forget what it was exactly, but I think it was in one of the 3 CHL leagues. He was like the playoff MVP and he had the most points in that league's playoff or whatever. So that's really interesting. Frederick Karlstrom, you may recognize that name because he made a couple of games onto the Stars roster this past season. That will be really interesting to see. Friend of the show, Matthew Semenoff, 6th round pick from this past year. He's going to be there at Traverse City, so we'll look to see how he does. Obviously, you've got Mr. Skate Everywhere, Antonio Stranges. That's going to be fun to see what he can do. And then another really interesting one that a lot of people over here are kind of pointing out to me already, and Eric is Matt Murray, and not
we got
Matt
him
Murray.
from Toronto.
Wrong Matt Murray. Wrong Matt
Two
Murray.
of them now. There's two of them.
Matt Murray came over from, I believe it was from the University of Massachusetts, I believe, at the end of the college season, came to the Texas Stars, played with the Texas Stars, and actually did pretty decently. So he had a really good record and a really good save percentage. So could he be the next,
Matt Murray?
Matt Murray. I knew y'all were going to say that. I didn't want to say it. I was just like, oh, that's so stupid. Dad joke time. But anyways, guys, what do y'all think about some of those names? I get interested in seeing how these prospects do. There's a lot of names that compared to years past I wouldn't be as interested in, but I'm more interested in now because, especially on the forward side, I'm really excited to see how these guys do.
Yeah, obviously those big three. I think it's really cool that we got all of them there. And it's really the first chance for one of them to kind of pull ahead in Stars coaching staff eyes, like it's not them in separate leagues on different teams, and who knows how they compare. They're going up against each other right now. This is the first chance to make it known, like, hey, I'm the guy. So we've talked about, we're expecting maybe one of these guys to make the NHL roster to start the season. So we'll see who it's going to be, because I think definitely at least one is going to make it. So
yeah, and they've all kind of had their own like good streaks throughout the past year, and the past one obviously being Logan Stakeoven at the World Juniors. So you're muted, Ryan.
Dang it. See, I was about to sneeze too, so that's why I muted myself. Anyways, one interesting thing I wanted to talk about is, could Riley Damiani be passed over by one of those quote unquote big three?
Definitely.
Because
absolutely, I think he should be.
Okay. All right. What makes you think
I
that?
still think
I'm just
that Damiani he can still play well enough and compete with them. It really depends on how he does this last season, because he did play. Damiani had that chance in that last game of that series against Calgary, and he looked good in it. He didn't look slow. He didn't look like he was behind. He kept up with the plays. Now, he didn't really score, and he didn't really have chances to score. So maybe he's still kind of sitting in more of a fourth line spot in the future. But I mean, he can definitely still compete with them. I just think it's not super likely.
The offensive potential from all three of those guys is just so much higher than Damiani. Yeah. I mean, it's just it looks like if they pan out, they could really, all three of them have a chance of being really good in this league. So, and I don't feel that way about Damiani. I think Damiani can be a good third line guy, but the other three can be top line guys, top 10 in the NHL, winning trophies and stuff. So that's why you put those other guys before Damiani, in my opinion.
I slightly agree with y'all on that, but mostly just because when Damiani came into the regular season and he played, it wasn't a ton of games, but he came in. He looked really good right off the bat. Like the first, I'd say maybe 2.5 games. And then it was really obvious that the defensive side of his game was not on par with what it needed to be in the NHL. So if anything is going to kill Damiani, it's going to be the defensive side of the puck. And, it is Johnston a better two-way forward? Is Bork a better two-way forward? What about Stanky? Is Stanky able to be that defensive forward? I think that's what it's going to come down to with, one of those four guys making the team, is who has the better defensive awareness out of those four. And, who can also, pitch in offensively as well. So that'll be interesting to see. So, all right. I wanted to play a little game with you guys.
I like games.
All right, and and everybody else, they had no idea I was gonna throw this on them, but
No idea.
I thought this would be interesting. And we're gonna do a little bit of Dallas Stars stat trivia. All right.
All right.
So with this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you who is the leader in this statistical category all time when it comes to the Dallas Stars.
How?
Yes,
I don't even
all
know.
time.
I barely know all the players now, Ryan. How do you want me to guess this? I
Okay.
literally can't win.
I'm gonna win. Ryan, go.
We can talk about some of this sort of stuff, or maybe I haven't even seen the stats myself actually. So if y'all want to look up like the all-time stats and quiz me and see if I can get them right, then we can try that. Do you want to do it that way?
This.
Chris,
No,
you got
I
this?
this. I'm gonna win.
Okay, all right. Some of the I'll throw you some softballs first. Okay, some underhanded softballs. Okay, all right. So. Games played. Who is the leader in games played when it comes to the Dallas Stars all-time leader?
Mike Modano.
Okay, James, what do you think?
That's the only old player that I know.
Mike Modano
That's
is the leader in that category. He leads it with 1,459 games played all time.
That's a lot of games.
All right. This one I would be very surprised if you guys get this one. This one is I don't even think you guys know this player's name. Who is the leader in penalty minutes all time when it comes to the Dallas Stars? Penalty minutes. And don't cheat.
Craig Ludwig.
That's actually a pretty good guess, Christian.
Dang.
But that's not it. That's not it. James, any ideas?
The old Otter.
Again, that's a pretty good guess too. Nope. Eric, good job, Eric. The answer there is Shane Churla. Early to mid 90s, Shane Churla, it was a big time enforcer of the Dallas Stars. 1,883 penalty minutes. Get that. That is insane.
Who's next?
Okay.
Who's number next? 2 on that list?
Oh, let's see. Oh, I don't even know this player's name. And I think it's probably including players from
North Stars.
From the North Stars as well. So number 2, I don't even know who this is. It's Basil McRae. No idea. He had 1,567. Now, number 3 and 4 and 5 on the list. Yeah, 300 penalty minutes less. Now, you want to go? Let's do number 3, number 4, number 5. Let's see if y'all can figure this out. Number 3, number 4, number 5. Y'all should know these players.
But it was neither of our guesses.
It was one of y'all's guesses. One of them is one of y'all's guesses.
Ludwig.
Nope.
What?
It's Steve Ott. Steve Ott is number 5 with 1,170. Darian Hatcher is Steve Ott is number 5. Darian Hatcher is number 3 with 1,380. Who's number 4?
Roussel.
Nope.
Dang it.
You should know number 4.
He wasn't here long enough.
No, he wasn't. That's what I was thinking too.
Morrow.
Very good, Christian. Number 4 is Brendan Morrow. Brendan Morrow had 1,203 penalty minutes over the course of his career with the Dallas Stars. I thought that was fun, right? Isn't that fun to talk about? Okay, here's another one. And y'all actually know number 1 on this list. On this list, we're talking about plus minus. And I know we all hate this.
Favorite stat.
I hate this stat too. But plus minus all time, who is number 1?
Sergei Zubov.
Y'all both know this player.
Sergei Zubov.
Sergei Zubov is not number 1. He is number 3 with plus 103.
Dang it. That's a good guess, though.
It is a good guess. You did pretty well on that. Any other ideas?
Jamie Benn.
Jamie Benn is number 9 on the list with 47, plus 47.
Bad guess.
Top 10 guess is all I'm saying.
Top 10. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Plus minus is weird though because you don't have to really play that long in the league to have a good plus minus.
And that's true, right? So, but think of it this way: in order to have a good plus minus, you have to be good offensively and defensively. That should give you a huge hint there.
Louis Erickson?
Nope.
I give up.
James?
Trevor Daley?
Again, a good guess, but nope. The answer is Yeri Lettinen. Good job, Argo, right down there. Yeah. Okay. So Yeri Lettinen, and it was like I only did this one because it was by a significant margin, right? And it showed how good Yeri Lettinen was defensively. Plus 176 as number one. Number two is Mike Modano with a plus 118.
I thought about saying
that
Modano.
is insane. And that shows you how good Yeri Lettinen was over the course of his career. Yes, he was good offensively, but he was amazing defensively. Great defensive player. Okay, let's see if we can pick let's do one more. You want to do a goalie one? Let's do a goalie
I love
one.
goalies.
Let's do a goalie one. Okay. Let's do shutouts all time. Shutouts all time. Who leads the Dallas Stars in all-time shutouts?
Marty Turco.
All right. So, James, what'd you say?
I said Marty Turco.
Okay, Marty Turco.
Eddie
Chris?
Belfour.
Eddie Belfour. James wins. It's Marty Turco.
He had 3 in one playoff series.
Right, exactly.
So how could it not be him?
Yeah, and
is Belfour 2?
Belfour was number 2. Okay.
Shock.
Where's Mog?
Mog?
Yeah.
I can't believe you just said that. It's not Mog. It's Andy Moog. My goodness. Okay, I'll give you number 3 because I don't even know who this guy is. It's Cesare Maniango. I think that's from the. I'm guessing that's from the North Stars days.
He was my favorite.
You should know who number 4 and number 5 are. Actually, y'all both know who number 4 and number 5 are. You should know.
Kari Lettinen.
Kari Lettinen is number 4 with 24 shutouts over his career.
Who was the other one that he played with? It was
Tim Thomas.
Tim Thomas played as a Dallas Star for like 1 season. Not quite. Any other guesses?
Niami?
That's a good guess, but no.
It's not a good guess. No, I quit.
Don't know.
Number 5 is Ben Bishop with 14. Chris said it just before. Just in the others on this list, you've got Anton Hudobin at number 10 with 5, Mike Smith with 5, and Ron Tugnut with 5.
That's a great name.
And number 7, let's do number 6. Number 6 is John Casey, back from the North Stars days. Sorry. Gillies Meloche. Darcy Wakaluk. No idea. And then Andy Moog tied Darcy Wakaluk with 8. So I just thought that was interesting. Cool. Okay. We're getting into our Who Cares segment for the evening. And we literally came up with this, over a week ago. So we've had plenty of time.
It's a month ago, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Okay, excuse me. It was a month ago, right? So we have had plenty of time to give you a very thorough Who Cares segment for this evening.
Yeah, this is another serious one because they didn't want to talk about the favorite candle scents because they want to see all manly and masculine and act like they don't use candles.
I just don't smell candles.
No. They just pretend. They're liars. Anyway, moving on. We're doing another serious one. Sorry, everybody who loves the silly Who Cares segments. This one's serious. We're doing our top 3 songs currently. So not of all time, not most influential. What are you listening to right now at this moment? Top 3 songs. Go. Brian first.
Okay. I was about to say, I forgot I normally go first.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know us all that well when it comes to our music is all 3 of us love Owl City. I think I'm a bigger Owl City fan than probably y'all two. I listen to it more on a regular basis. But for my number 3 right now, I'll put Montana. Montana is the name of the song by Owl City. It was on their latest album, Cinematic, and I love that song. It's fantastic. It's really cool because James and I actually, when we went to Glacier National Park this past, was it this past summer that we went to? No, it was the summer before, right? Summer before. In the song, they talk about certain roads in Montana, and we actually got to drive on the same roads that Owl City was talking about. So that was kind of cool.
Bridge.
Yep, and we got to go to Pole Bridge. It's like a little, tiny little, I don't know what you call it, James.
Bridge on a pole.
Town?
Campsite. It's a campsite.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. It's a tiny little campsite. So, that's my number 3. James, what you got?
Right. My number 3 right now is Mr. Sandman from the Chordettes.
Wow.
Bum, bum,
Super
bum.
modern.
Bum, bum,
Bum,
bum.
bum, bum, indeed. Wow. That's great. All right.
Okay, Chris.
Mine all have a theme. For some reason, I'm a happy person. I think I'm happy overall. All the songs I'm listening to are so depressing. They are so sad. Oh my goodness.
Let me guess. You have some AJR in there somewhere.
Another emotion. No AJR at all.
Really?
The AJR is gone.
I
Zero AJR.
It's you, Christian.
You know what has come back recently? The country music. And in my number 3,
oh no,
one of the greatest country music songs ever made, Colder Weather by Zac Brown Band. So
okay,
sad.
I can get behind that. I do like that
song. I almost, if I'm by myself in a dark room, just laying there on my bed, half naked, and I just listen to this music and get in my feels.
Okay, I'll see you guys later. I'm out.
I'm being honest, James. I'm opening up the way Zac Brown Band did in this song. It's so sad. Oh my goodness. All right, Ryan, number 2.
My number 2 song is it tugs on the heartstrings a lot. It does. And this is a song that's not new. It's kind of older, but it's new to me because I haven't listened to it until the past, I would say, maybe year or two. But I keep finding myself going back to this song. And it's the song, it's a Rascal Flatts song, and it's called Skin. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it is incredibly, incredibly like gut-wrenching. And if you just listen to the words, it's really, really sad. Really, really, really sad. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's never heard the song before. Go listen to it. Skin by Rascal Flatts.
What a
Really, really, really pulls at the heart.
Depress everybody.
Yeah, since y'all are both being Debbie Downers, I'll pull one of my wonderful tricks out. I am going with SIMP, Squirrels in My Pants, from Phineas and Ferb, because that song is amazing, okay? Absolutely stunning song. Funniest thing ever.
Oh, you
Great
have to tell people what it's from, though, James. Some people might not know what you're talking
You
about.
already did. We were laughing over it. It's
from Phineas and Ferb.
It's from Phineas and Ferb.
The greatest cartoon ever.
And guess what happens in the song? The
There's
person
in her pants.
There's squirrels.
She had
in the
actual
pants.
squirrels in her pants.
Yes, right. That is a quote from the show.
I love that. I love that show.
All right, back to reality. Getting in our feels a little bit more.
I'm trying, man.
I mean, I don't know, James. Maybe that's in your feels. The number 2 song.
Okay, Chris, number 2 song.
The number 2 song for me that I am currently listening to is Gravity by John Mayer. What a great anthem
that's a
to
good
live
one.
by. I mean, just keep chugging along, man. Just keep chugging along. Don't worry about the gravity. It's working against me. Just keep me where the light is. All right, Ryan. Give us your number 1 most favorite song you were listening to at the current moment in time.
I'll give my honorable mention real quick to Fall Out Boys. My songs "Know What You Did in the Dark."
Man, Ryan really can't
So,
decide on a top 3,
like-
can he? His honorable
I
mentions
don't
every
think he's
time.
I
ever
listen to
done
a lot of
a top
stuff.
3.
You don't understand
Ever.
how this segment works, Ryan.
Okay,
You
you don't
gave-
understand how
you
hard
gave-
it is for me to do this.
You gave an honorable
really
mention to
hard.
like a bottle last time. I swear you gave an
You
honorable mention to
did.
the bottle.
You did.
There's no way
So?
you like more than 3 different types of bottles. All
Yes,
right,
I do.
Ryan. Now
Oh my
let me build it
goodness.
up again since you ruined it. Ryan, give us your number 1 most favorite song in the world at the current moment in time.
Well, my second honorable
Oh
mention.
my gosh!
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, my number 1 song right now is, I love the song when I first heard it on one of the most underrated movies that I didn't expect it to be this good. We're going to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse's Sunflower by Mr. You Know Who. So I
It's
love that
Posty.
song. Go ahead.
I love Posty. Posty's
I love
such a
Posty.
great guy. I mean,
Yep.
he's a Dallas guy. He's a kind guy. I love Posty.
Now, there's not a lot of stuff you can listen to of his, if you ask me, because a lot of his stuff is kind of a little on the inappropriate side. But that song in particular, Sunflower, I absolutely love it. I could listen to it on repeat.
The other stuff is just about drugs and alcohol and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Totally fine.
James, number 1 song. Go ahead.
All right, my number 1 song is The A-Team from Ed Sheeran. It's just kind of a
Oh,
mellow
that's another
song.
good one.
I love it just like when I listen to it, I just like instantly just calm down. It's so nice. I love that song.
All right. And finally,
Chris is going to ruin it for everybody. Here we
the
go.
actual number 1 song. If you have never heard this song, go listen to it. Like I said, in a dark room, half naked, all that stuff. And
He's
just,
gonna say
just,
Taylor
just
Swift or
listen
something
to
like
it.
that.
No. Y'all are going to fully agree with me. It is And So It Goes by Billy Joel.
I love that song.
This has to be one of the most saddest songs I've ever heard in my entire life. It's so sad.
It's one of the few songs I can actually play and sing on piano. One of the few.
It's just like when he plays that song, you can feel every emotion with every note he plays.
You feel
like,
everything he felt.
It's just one of those songs.
Billy Joel is just, I mean, he's one of the greatest artists of all time. One of the greatest artists of all time. And he's just absolutely fantastic. And that song is just like one of his best songs that he ever did. It's up there with Piano Man.
The
but
crazy thing
Piano
is
Man
like
still not as good as that one.
he's just singing and playing the piano and that's it.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it.
There's nothing extra
Right.
in it. He doesn't need it in that song.
That's what makes it so good. The simplicity, and he's just pouring his heart out. He's pouring it out on the piano, through his voice. It's everything. It's so good.
Christian getting
That's how you get in your feels.
getting all
Y'all ask me
sappy
about
on
music,
us
man.
tonight.
Y'all ask me. This is all listening to me. I'm listening to sappy stuff. Here, I'll get y'all. Here, I'll get an honorable mention. That's a happy one. Hold real quick. I forgot the name of it. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Where
Well, I'm
is
gonna
it?
wrap it up while you're doing that. Okay?
Nope, I got it.
Already?
No,
Wow. that was
back
fast.
to country music. Billy Currington, Good Directions. Now that's a sad song.
Thank God for good directions and turnip greens.
Turnip grains. I'm a good old country boy, folks.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to leave y'all on. All right, Ryan.
All right.
Close this out.
Hopefully next week, we did a podcast last Wednesday. Otter signed on Thursday.
Yep. Robertson's
It only makes sense that Robertson's going to sign tomorrow.
That way we have something to
Almost.
talk about next Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we have a
That's
ton
how
to
it
talk about.
works.
We got to do a season preview. We're getting up to that point. We're gonna start looking at line combos and maybe
I don't
getting
want to do a
into more
season preview
players.
until we have all of our players.
Oh, Robertson's gonna be there. Surely he's gonna be there before
We'll
the season
see.
starts.
We'll
Okay.
see.
Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us this evening. Along with Chris and James, my name is Ryan. This has been StarCast Circle Marks. Please go and follow us on social media. You can follow Chris on Twitter at ChrisCham2B, me at rchambers1993, and James at JamesTheBomb02. Follow all of our podcast social media as well. Check out StarCastCircleMarks.com for shop.com, shop.com for all of your merch options for our podcast. We'd appreciate it. And we also want to say thank you to our sponsors, Raycon and DraftKings Sportsbook, for being our sponsor of this episode and of all of THPN. Use that
same promo code.
THPN.
Same promo code, both websites. How simple is that?
Easy. So,
easy.
Once again, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're listening to this. Bye, guys.